Sunday night, and you know what that means. Ringside is on the air here on News Talk Sauga 960 AM or on YouTube if you're watching Monday night. It is episode 156, folks, and oh boy, do we have a big show ahead of you today. I am your guest host for this weekend, Jose Tabuada. You can find me on social media at Tabuada93, and of course, don't forget to follow the show at Ringside_Heat. There's a lot to talk about. I will introduce the crew. First person, we haven't seen him in a little bit. You can find him and his action figure collecting ways at Coco Collects, Mr. Chico Newgate, our wonderful AEW expert, and the man who's been tag teaming with me in this AEW venture, Mr. Colin Dodge, and the man who doesn't know how to take a break, our regular host and producer, Mr. Lex Tan Media. You can find him at Lex Tan Media. And Lex, you're smiling, but deep down, and this is so good and so satisfying. I know you're mad that you're not hosting, even though you're here, but we're going to carry on and let you suffer. So, folks, Wrestledream 2024. It was such a fun show, but of course, we are coming off of our live stream. So if you are, if you somehow missed it, we did our AEW Wrestledream 2024 live stream reaction here on Ringside Heat, which is where we are currently in right now. Going on 4 hours here, but I'm going to go just a little bit longer to bring down the show. And there's a lot to discuss. And I think it's only safe to say that given the time constraints, since we have commercial breaks and the cutoff time of the hour, we're only going to get to what really stood out for us on Ringside. And of course, I think we 100% need to talk about the biggest story of what we just saw moments ago on our live stream, the ending to Bryan Danielson and John Moxley, now a 4-time champion, John Moxley of AEW, which is insane. And of course, don't forget that if Bryan Danielson lost that match, he would retire from his full-time career. And I'm emphasizing full-time career, folks. And I realize that a lot. I'm emphasizing that big time. Bryan Danielson, no longer champion. A very short reign after getting crowned in such an epic moment at All In. But folks, I don't want to go on any further. I will get to my points later. The three of these guys, they're ready to go and to talk about what their biggest points is. So I'm going to start off with Lex because I know he has to get going soon. And he raised his hand because we are good, functioning, and professional adults. Lex, take us away.
Yes, thank you very much, Jose. And as you said, and you emphasized that the end of Bryan Danielson's full-time wrestling career. Thank you very much for everything that you've done in this industry, in whatever company you've been in, Bryan. And I remember, last year last 2 years ago now, Forbidden Door here in Toronto. Got a chance to speak with him, ask him a question, and interact with him. And I think out of everything that he's ever done in this industry, the thing that I walk away from his career, and the takeaway for me in his career, is when he shared what Bree told him when he wanted to come back and become a wrestler again back in his after his first retirement from WWE, and he said what Bree told him: fight for your dreams, and your dreams will fight for you. And no truer words could be said, not just for, I guess, all of us here with Ringside Heat, but also particularly for Bryan Danielson. He really fought for this dream. He really fought for to be able to do this again and wow everybody with his the last 5 years in AEW as well, particularly in recent memory. And it is beautiful to see that he's been able to do this and give that this last few years of his career to us this way. So congratulations to Bryan for your full-time career, and maybe not be the last we see of you. And I'm glad and if it's not, I will be very glad to see him back again soon in a part-time capacity.
And I think that's what I want to emphasize more on that. Aside from other great words, because I think that was definitely what in everybody's heads were like Lex said, it's the emphasis of full-time career, and that's where I want to really get the discussion going with that I don't want to say flat ending. I don't, but it was a surprising ending. Right. The sleeper hold that suddenly just the ref called for the bell almost immediately. And what I was telling these guys during the live stream, and of course moments ago, if you're listening to us while we're doing the stream, I was about to say, how funny would it be if the ref calls for the bell right now? And I couldn't even get to say it because the ref was already going for the bell.
Going for the bell, yeah.
Because it actually happened.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it's flat because of what Mox has been doing since All Out, and the plastic bag came back, which yay for that site. And but
Yay.
it's it's so interesting because yes, it looks like the full-time career is over, but I also don't even want to, and I say this with respect, Lex, I almost don't even want to go that route of like saying goodbye and thank you, because it's not, I don't think it's over.
It's definitely not
Which
over.
is great.
This ending shows us that there's still more to come. It's just a full-time career.
So for me personally, I don't know if I want to go into the thank you, I'll miss you, be well with your family spiel. You just yet. I can't. That's me though. I think you said the right words, but that's just me because that ending left me going, he's gonna come back and kill everybody. He's going to murder everybody.
He's gonna kick everybody's expletive heads. Yes.
So as a non-regular AEW viewer, although I'm starting to slowly convert to one as Colin and I get deeper into this.
Yeah, he bought a shirt, folks.
I bought a shirt, and we'll get into that in our second or third segment. It's just somehow there's an intrigue, and I don't know if I would have said that a year ago when it comes to these kind of endings, but for me, especially because we all anticipated the retirement style ending and the farewell and a goodbye in his home state, but to me, I'm like, I don't know. Chico, Colin, your thoughts on the whole thing aside from the match itself? I think really we're focusing on the ending here.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say that. Sure, I'm gonna say that. I was also surprised. It had. What would I like to say? It reminded me a little bit of how the wind was taken out of the room for when the Undertaker's streak ended. Not exactly like it.
I didn't want to say it though. I didn't want to say it.
But I mean, it's just the spirit of it. I felt the same. Like what?
Yep.
Like it just ended.
That was my first thought, Chico. I didn't want to say it because I didn't want to compare it to such a monumental event and piss off Colin. But when I said what on stream, the first thing in my mind was the Taker 3, and I'm going, did they just do that to us? But I didn't want to say it because I know it's not that as impactful. Continue, Chico, but you're right.
Yeah,
you're
but it brought me there, and I honestly thought of that guy with the wide eyes going like, like my mind went there. It really went there.
I was the wide-eyed guy.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah, so I mean, I don't have all the words yet, but I say this kind of sickening ending to the full-time part of his career. Again, we all know like he's going to try his darndest to get back and continue the story, or at least put a bow on it in a different way. But in terms of the end of his full-time career, I guess this kind of ending is something that is in the wheelhouse of one Bryan Danielson. He is kind of demented in that he loves this stuff.
He does.
Like he's a sicko in that way. And for even coming back and doing all these trademark Bryan Danielson things still, despite being told by doctors to not come back, and when he was able to, he did it anyway. An ending like this with the plastic bags and everything coming back, it's surprising in the moment, but after processing it for just like a couple of minutes, I'm like, this is so Bryan Danielson. Like this is partly his creative, probably like almost entirely. What a crazy guy.
Ringside Heat on Newstalk Sauga 960 AM. We're here with Lex, Colin, Chico, and myself, Jose Dewada, just discussing the ending, the, I guess, Undertaker style shock ending to AEW Wrestledream 2024 from Tacoma, Washington. Colin, you've obviously been watching more than us combined, and then some. You know the journey to tonight better than any of us will ever know. You've heard the three of us react the way that we did. What is your reaction to the whole thing? And I know I want you to emphasize your excitement during the live stream when the ref called for the bell.
Yeah. Well, first off, as a regular watcher kind of thing, and this unsettling ending, Jon Moxley's return and everything he's been saying in the promos, have had this off-putting, unsettling kind of feel. It's not the same Mox that left, where he was the heart and soul of AEW that left. Like, you know, when a lot of things, you know, bad PR, whatever it was, we had ones like Bryan Danielson and John Moxley doing these, look, everybody calm down promos, we're all in it together kind of thing. Like, because these guys are the heads of the ship. And we're going, okay, they're letting us know everything's fine, everything's cool. We're fans of AEW. They're saying things are cool. Okay, we're okay. So they're there to right the ship and just kind of thing. When he comes back with this whole thing going on, saying kind of cryptic things to Tony Schiavone, like, this isn't your company anymore. And I don't want to have to do it this way. This is the change we need and that kind of thing. And just leaving it cryptic like that. All of a sudden he's got, Marina Shafir with him. And, she's just beating up everybody that he tells her to. And then converting Claudio and Pac is with them now. And, converting Wheeler Yuta and the turmoil he had after Bryan got attacked. So all these unsettling things have been building up this entire thing. And it's like, oh my God, when Regal and Mox and Bryan formed the BCC, like, we thought, okay, these two are the best buds. And all of a sudden, Mox is just trying to kill him now and put him in a plastic bag. Like, there's multiple attempted murder happening. Like, what is going on, right?
A lot of arrests should have been made, yes.
Yeah, exactly. Like, tons of witnesses, more witnesses than what Will Smith did, And like, come on, there's a lot of witnesses. And he got to go sit back in his chair, and Mox got to be the main event of a pay-per-view. Like, what is happening today, right? So, now, that's, as a week-to-week viewer, this is great. I'm surprised, but good surprised. I'm unsettled, but good unsettled. I'm also messed up. Like I said earlier, I'm very desensitized to a lot of things. I watched horror movies as a young child. I shouldn't. My brain is broken a little bit, and I'm fine with that. I know that. I'm also self-aware.
Mm-hmm.
So all that's okay. But even, AEW gets a little too bloody for me sometimes. Not to mention syringes and cinder blocks, but I'm not going to bring that up anymore.
Of course not.
Yeah.
This kind of... No. And also, as a longtime fan, and that's all of us too, the four of us were surprised by an ending. That's huge.
My takeaway.
And good surprise. Not upset surprise, like, this is garbage, why are we watching this match? But this is like, okay, this isn't the farewell retirement ending. This isn't the full-on heel, everybody cheats, and like all of the BCC came in to interrupt. No, this was a clean win by a new top heel.
Yep.
So this was unsettling end of a career match. And we're all good surprised. Like, that is the biggest telling thing for me. The longtime fans that we are, and we're surprised. So I love this ending. Because, and also, it's different. Like, we've seen it all. We've seen every kind of retirement thing. We've seen every kind of stipulation. And for us to be surprised by an unsettling ending, perfect. I love it. Absolutely love it. So I can't wait to see what comes next too. But I mean, what is this new BCC, and who is this secret higher power? Please don't be Shane McMahon. And because all I'm going to think of is the corporate ministry, and that was terrible.
Ringside, Tony.
Yeah, all along.
Ringside on Newstalk Sauga 960 AM. Here's my question, and this is, I think, a perfect segue into the next segment, because there's another layer to this story, I think, and I don't think a lot of people are going to talk about enough, or maybe they will. But the whole the locker room of faces just came out to support Bryan Danielson. I'm never going to get that right. Bryan Danielson, and your mind is going, okay, that the BCC is going to go in such a big, like they're going to be elevated pretty big now, right? What does this mean for the rest of the locker room? And then how do they back up Bryan Danielson? I think that's where I kind of want you guys to start thinking of an answer for our next segment, because we do got to go to commercial break. We do got to say hello to our sponsors. However, I believe we are also saying goodbye to Lex here. I think what are we doing? Are we sticking around?
Yeah, I gotta bounce, man. But hey, I just wanted to say my piece about Bryan and thank him and everything on air. You guys have a great show, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Well, we will. And Chico, are you hanging on?
Let's say at least another segment, but who knows?
We
Maybe
go.
I'll just do the
All
whole
right.
thing.
So for
Maybe.
that, so for now, folks, hang tight. I'm gonna get these guys to think about an answer. When we come back, we're gonna see what we're gonna continue talking about the main event of Wrestledream, and then later on from there, that beautiful, beautiful Will Ospreay match that has me going to bed very, very happy. After the break, we'll see you in a bit.
Tell me I'm wrong, but if we just walk away, we'll be giving in. Tell me I'm wrong, but if we just walk away, we'll be giving
And welcome back to Ringside here on News Talk Sauga 960 AM. I am your guest host, Jose Tabata. You can find me on social media at Tabata93, joined by Mr. Colin Dodge. You can find him at Risen72. And our action figure collector, who I haven't seen in a little while. It's good to see him before I tell him to go away. I'm kidding. I love him dearly. Mr. Chico Nugget. And by the way, folks, also don't forget to follow us at Ringside_Heat and subscribe to us on Patreon. We are, again, continuing to start thinking about more exclusive content. And I know we've been kind of slacking off a little bit there. But speaking of Patreon, before we continue on, Chico, heartbreaking news for you yesterday when you did not win the Fiend figure.
Yeah.
I know it's been tough for you, and I know the family's been comforting you. You told us, but as the family was comforting you, Colin and I respectively popped the champagne, confetti's all over the floor because hey, you didn't win.
Chico didn't get away with another one. Yeah,
I can't have all the action figures in the world, guys.
I know,
but you tried.
It was
I
pretty
know.
sad.
But I think it is one that you should get down in the future. It was really cool,
Yeah, it's a sweet one.
but it's all packaged up again.
No, I have an Ultimate Fiend.
Oh, never mind.
Oh, you have it. Oh.
Like the
Well, there goes my running gag for
I
like
know.
the
his
last year.
original Fiend outfit. That one was like an
fantastic.
updated one.
Well, regardless, once again, and we want to say this publicly on
Congratulations to the
publicly
winner.
on air. Congratulations to Evzinius for winning that contest. We hopefully we get more contests for you coming up, whether it be Patreon or other stuff. But for now, folks, again, subscribe to us on Patreon at Ringside Heat and follow us on all our social media. So before the break, we've been talking about Wrestledream 2024 and the shock main event ending of Daniel
Brian.
of him.
Brian's good.
Bryan
It's like a
Danielson,
common name.
just say it that way.
Right?
Bryan Danielson
There you go.
losing the AEW championship to John Moxley without tapping out in a submission, getting choked out or knocked out, and then the violent, vicious ending with the sequel of the plastic bag. And what I said to these guys before the break, before we went for commercial, was the sudden influx of faces to come out to support Bryan Danielson in the middle of all that, and then the BCC running away, which. And again, this is not my code, but again, seeing on social media, seeing some friends thinking maybe a little mini civil war of kind of like a whole uproar of the locker room going against dudes that wanted to kill the fan favorite. So, and essentially the segment is going to be about the future. Now, where do we go with the storyline? Because this was such a big shock moment. This was a big moment. And of course, your next question is, where do you go from there? How do you capitalize this? And of course, I think, Chico brought it up in our last segment. I didn't want to because I didn't want to get the rage, but now I can safely bring it up. A very similar reaction to Taker Lesnar at WrestleMania 30 in New Orleans.
Why? How dare you bring that up while I'm here?
I'm sorry.
Why?
But in terms of, the shock ending, and then from there, where do we go from there? Right? In that case, it was Brock Lesnar being a continuous dominant beast after that fact, and then eventually, paving the way for guys like Roman Reigns, for Seth Rollins, that when it was time to dethrone the beast, it worked out effectively to maximum effect. I was an example of seeing that at WrestleMania 35 when Seth Rollins beat Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship. So, gentlemen, this is where I turn the attention to you guys. Whoever wants to go first, go for it. Where do you go from here with that ending? And as a follow-up, how do you incorporate the talent that came out to support Bryan Danielson?
I will say, I'm not as informed as Colin, so I'm going to let him have the lion's share of this. But as we're recording this right now, there's probably a press conference post Wrestledream.
Yeah.
if Tony Khan can somehow manage to actually uphold kayfabe effectively, then this story has some good legs on it. So that's the first thing to me. Like, as a person who doesn't get drawn to watch AEW that often, sometimes I feel like they have good matches, and then it's like a short-term thing, and then suddenly they just move on to stuff. But if they can maintain, the kayfabe of it all, this can be epic. Like, even to the point where, who knows, whenever Bryan Danielson recovers from the surgery that he even said himself that he has to have, so he's got to at some point come back, because that can't be the end. Just the end to his full time. That can't be the end.
And again, like you said, that payoff and how to preserve this shock ending. And again, like we said earlier, we don't think it's the full time. So we don't think it's like a complete end of Bryan Danielson. I think the full time, sure, but yeah, that's going to be such a big question to ask, and even to the point where to even maybe circle back to Bryan Danielson having the championship again because of what happened. I don't know if I want to go there, but again, that's a food for thought as the weeks and the months go by. Colin,
need it.
I don't need it either, but
yeah.
But then again, I didn't need this championship reign either, because I wanted Swerve to hang on, and yet somehow here we are, and now I'm going, oh, okay. And I will say that I suddenly don't feel as disappointed anymore with Swerve losing the title. I'll say that before I go into Colin and he answers the questions that I asked.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because this is, again, this suddenly turned intriguing. The whole locker room is now up in uproar. To me, it's like, Swerve, you're going to be okay. And he has this whole thing with MVP. But again, that's a conversation for another day. Colin, your whole thoughts on where they go from here.
Yeah, well, I mean, to go full tinfoil hat, yes, very interesting who the faces were that came out and everything like that. So you've got like the heart and soul people, where Mox used to be a heart and soul guy, you could say, of AEW. But you had Darby was the first one out there. Well, I saw Wheeler first and was confused why everybody was running away, because I'm like, it's Wheeler Yuta. I didn't even see Darby wielding a chair at the moment. I'm like, isn't Wheeler kind of with you guys still? Because again, following with his, Wheeler Yuta was caught in between. Like, he was real upset when they first tried to kill Bryan, and then they've been slowly trying to convert him, because he is a trios champion with Claudio and Pac. So there was that, and I thought, oh, it's Darby. Now Darby is currently kind of their new face that they're definitely propping up. He's always been a heart and soul guy of AEW. So, and I'd like to say it was my idea, but I'm gonna steal it anyway from a person who was in chat, our good buddy Peter, UK Peter, who had mentioned that it should be Darby taking the championship off Mox after this. I believe it was Peter. That's it.
Yes. Yep. And I'm thankfully, because we're still on the stream recording our episode, there's a comment. Darby is the logical champ to beat Mox. Then Christian cashes in to win off Darby, given their history, if they don't go to a Swerve or Osprey direction from it. That is, boy, do recording an episode during the live stream with people like comments. Brilliant.
Right?
Going
so yeah, I mean, so we can't forget that Christian has his document in the financial institution clause. So, because it's not money in the bank, that would be copyright.
Took me a second, Colin.
There we go. I know. I'm like, Chico, you should be faster. Document in a financial institution.
That took me a while too.
Yeah. I live to pop Chico. That's it. That's all it is.
Currency in the attaché.
Currency in the attaché. That's even better. Thank you, sir.
You got it.
So I like that eventual progression. But one thing I picked up on was how distraught Bryce was for having to rightfully call the match. Like,
right, the ref.
Like, Bryan was out. So I'm not even concerned about he did that really fast. It's not like a Montreal screw job kind of thing. No, none of that.
No,
but
no.
How distraught he was in the corner, I immediately pictured how distraught Shawn Michaels was at the end of the Hell in a Cell end of an era match with Taker and Triple H.
After the pedigree? Oh, no, after the win.
Yeah, after the final win, where it's still, or no, after the super kick and pedigree.
Pedigree, right.
And he's still kicked out. and how distraught Michaels was
I
in
mean,
the
I would
corner because he was the guest referee, right?
no, I would say he was distraught when he had to count the 3 for Triple H and for Taker to
Well,
win, right? I thought that's where you were going, but anyways.
yeah, but either way. So, but again, like it
feel like
was
you're
that
talking
kind of
about the same
visual.
thing.
So I'm thinking again the tinfoil hat kind of thing, which I didn't prepare it for tonight, but is that Bryce is part of this secret organization too? You know,
A cabal.
yeah. So again, not like it was a screw job, but it was like he was there. Because I mean, honestly, it's usually like Aubrey for main events and all that kind of stuff. And I know she had just done the Jericho.
That
match.
is a real intricate
So
thought there.
to go deep dive thread, that's probably not there. Only because I've been watching wrestling and espionage and cop movies and TV shows for way
What a
too
combo.
long. So there's all that kind of stuff in my head. Anyway, I'm always looking. I'm Charlie Day with the board and the string. And, yeah, so, just so you know, if everybody knows that picture.
I do.
Yeah. So there's that. But anyway, it's intriguing who those faces were. So, I mean, Adam Cole, sure. I guess he's a face because he's back, but everybody gets cheered when they're back. Even Triple H did with a U2 song. So, you know, it happens all the time. So, yeah, he came back to pick up MJF returned too. Let's not even forget that. That's also huge. There's a lot of big things.
There's a lot happening.
Yeah, there was a lot. And Daniel Garcia returned even before that, but everybody forgot because then MJF came back and Adam Cole came back. So it's a rough. It's all 3 in a row too. It's crazy. So yes. Who else was there? So Orange Cassidy, another heart and soul guy. He looked upset, and he's never showing emotion, or at least very rarely. And it was him and Darby were the last shot before it faded to black. And just how upset they were about what happened. So it's a Civil War kind of situation. Maybe how the invasion of 2001 should have worked out. I don't know, but it's very interesting.
That's intriguing to have like a kind of like the Scar Armstrong and the whole authority angle.
Yeah.
Right. That's like I think that's exactly what you're describing. Scar Armstrong being the crooked ref for Triple H and the authority. Yeah. And having Rollins win it, right?
Yeah.
And then
or
even
in the WCW days, who was it? Nick Patrick. He was the
NWO referee.
He was the corrupt NWO ref. Nick Patrick.
Well, you had also we're going a little further back here. Danny Davis for the Hart Foundation and Jimmy Hart.
Yes.
There's a lot of tradition, folks. It's
but nothing is new, but it's done. If presented well enough, it's intriguing.
Yeah. See, to me, like I mean. It's really hard in today's day and age wrestling to come up with fresh new storylines. Let's face it, it's tough. It's not easy, right? Even
everything's been done, like Colin said, because
your tropes are still there. But that doesn't mean you. I think if you reuse it, it's because it worked for a reason, and if it's done properly, you're golden.
The uniqueness is in the characters that are doing it now.
Exactly.
Right?
It's like when Becky Lynch got white hot. People were like sort of making comparisons to Austin and his, anti-authority, his heat that he got. And some people were against the idea of that. But then also, if it ain't broke, like, don't fix it. You can reuse something effectively.
Totally.
I agree with what you guys are saying.
I mean, how many
it could be reused?
How many times have we seen like a crowning moment at WrestleMania because of a crazy wild story that led up to its conclusion, right? I mean, Daniel Bryan and Cody Rhodes have a little bit of parallels going into their main event moments, right?
Yep,
10 years apart, or it's not out of the ordinary. But again, like to use the crooked ref and especially for the ref to show emotion, as of like I was forced to do. It's kind of like how Yuta felt when he felt distraught, having to do the flying knee on Darby Allin, and then just having himself to use the beautiful plastic bag. I'm not opposed to
now,
it.
kids. No, of course not.
So
don't use plastic bags, kids.
So of course, again, now I think at the end of the day, it's leads all to that bigger question, that higher power ish, and how that would come into play here. We're waiting for it. A lot of people think it's Shane. I hope
who's
not.
The voice in Moxley's head?
Yeah, I hope not, because I just don't want to see a McMahon in AEW only for the social media alone reaction.
Well, it diminishes the uniqueness that they need to be. Like, I almost want to say
AEW being
it's
AEW.
bad enough that there's WWE stars, but the reality of the wrestling industry is wrestlers go where there's work. So
Mhm.
you're going to go back and forth. So we as fans have to go, he's not Dean Ambrose anymore. He's John Moxley now. And then just get over it. And if you enjoy it, right? So like it's that kind of thing. Or how we can't
Sorry,
properly
I'm going to
say
interrupt for a
Daniel Bryan's
second.
name.
I'm going to interrupt for a second, but
Yes.
I just had a funny thought. Like, imagine, you know how WWE usually renames people?
Yeah,
Or like
Of
sometimes.
course. Yeah.
I just imagine like Shane McMahon being renamed for a gimmick. Like it would never work.
It
but
would never
just
work.
Kind of, it's just a
Main
funny thought to me.
McShan.
Now,
I mean, that's as good as they did with Daniel Bryan.
now at least with Mox,
McShane.
it's McShane. Oh my god. At
Sorry, man.
at least with Moxley, at least the good thing about Moxley is that he's done a lot of crazy stuff to where
Yeah.
you can only officially put Dean Ambrose in a rearview mirror, and then
Oh,
if he
yeah.
were to go back to WWE, which is I don't think it's ever going to happen, but then again, never say never, right? He will go
for
back as John Moxley. He doesn't go back.
I
as Dean
believe
Ambrose.
so.
Not even close.
Yeah.
Um,
Plus, he's
but
got Hunter there, and Hunter recognizes that.
but I think Colin brings it a good, but not necessarily for Shane McMahon, but I think this whole inner voice, higher power thing, whatever it is, you also got to get that right. And you also got to be very careful with it because again, it's those things that make or break, right? Like a lot of people, even I think Undertaker said on his podcast, hey, it shouldn't have been Vince as a higher power.
No.
Right.
He said the corporate ministry was a bad idea before they even got to Vince's reveal. He said it just watered down everything they just set up. But
exactly.
You know, it's not your call at the end of the day. You do what you're told, right? So
no, of course, but it's a good example of, hey, heads up, right? Like you got to make this work. Like I said, we just got such an intriguing ending to this match.
Yeah,
you have to get it right from here on out a lot.
Yep.
And I know we always have history here talking about AEW and their concerns for like the way they book things or their decisions to do stuff or why they do stuff. I think we all have a vendetta against Chris Jericho at this rate. But this has got to be perfect.
He's one of the guys I like.
I know, yeah. I think Jericho's doing great.
I still believe
TK.
I still believe in overexposure, Chris Jericho, but you guys get my point. But the point is,
for sure, yeah.
I think more than ever with this company, compared to all they've done in the last 5 years, I think this is where they really, 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 really need to get it.
Yeah,
they really need to get it right. And however long this goes, I don't know where this goes. It's not like this is going to go to All In next year in Texas in July. I don't know.
Again, like I was saying,
I don't know. I can't guess it.
If they have it in them to hold kayfabe, even if it's not like, all the time with everything, but just enough so that the important stuff holds true.
Yeah.
This could be epic.
It could even be as simple as a health update on Bryan, and then him saying Moxley will not be appearing for any Q&A as part of this press conference, and that's all we can say right now about the main event. And then just talk to everybody else.
For what it's worth so far, from what I'm seeing on social media, you've had Takeshita, which we're going to talk about right after this. I've seen Swerve being spoken on, and I also just saw a legendary Bryan Danielson is officially over. The career of legendary, somebody created like a little like funeral like memorial post for the guy. I'm like, let's not go that far. He's not like he's dead. It's not like he's dead. All right, like somebody pulled up the Daniel Bryan Monster video package from WrestleMania 30.
Oh boy,
one of my favorite packages of all time, by the way. I haven't seen anything about Bryan Danielson so far. On the post show media scrum, so I think we're clear for now. But yes, kayfabe is going to be very, very crucial. I think that's very understandable. Ringside New Sock Song and 960. By the way, we're talking about the main event of Wrestledream 2024, and I don't want to say controversial ending compared to All Out, but I think a pretty damn good ending. Gentlemen, we do have to take our next commercial break here. But before we do, any final thoughts on this main event? Because we are going to move on. We do have a very fun triple threat that I to talk about.
One last thing, I am very worried about any kind of higher power reveal. I think it's very hard to do correctly, and there's a good chance it'll be done wrong, and then that will undermine everything that's been done so far.
I will
That's my
also
concern.
say I'm in the minority here, and I would be okay with Shane McMahon,
Really?
only because I know that he, having been under Vince's learning tree and all the decades he's had in the business creatively, I believe that he would have the creative ability to make it interesting and to make it effective. At least I think so. However, in my heart of hearts, I want Shane in AEW, but strictly to handle backstage stuff for Tony, because I really think Tony needs somebody else to handle that.
I agree. I can't.
I don't want to. I don't need to see him.
I don't need to see in general a McMahon in the other company again, just for the social media toxicity, because that's going to be
people aren't going to be able to separate.
Disaster.
Yeah,
it's not going to be ideal for AEW, but then again, we've seen a lot of crazier stuff. So actually, no, this would be the craziest. Chico, are you staying? Are you staying with us for number 3?
I'm kind of fading out, to be honest with you.
So this is where it is.
I'm a little, I got a full day of work again. So, and we are recording this pretty late.
For the first time ever on an Ringside broadcast, we're losing our members one by one per commercial break.
Yeah.
And the original 2 are the ones that are staying on the longest. So
that are gonna fit. That are gonna wrap up. But Chico, all kidding aside, it was good to see you, because again, I feel like I haven't seen you in a while. I know you've seen Lex on a regular basis, and probably
I forgot what you look like.
Same. I forgot that you just let out these horrible puns that just ruined the vibe of everything.
You collect things. Okay, good to know.
But Chico, it is good to see you again, folks. You can find him on social media at Coco Collects. That is Mr. Chico Nugget. When we come back, we're talking about my favorite match of the night, because he is just a beautiful flying assassin, not an actual assassin. Well, the AEW International Championship match with Ospreay, Ricochet,
and
Takeshita.
They're the assassins.
That's going to wrap up our show. We'll be back.
Tell me I'm wrong, but if we just walk away, we'll be giving in. Tell me I'm wrong, but if we just walk away.
And welcome back to Ringside here on News Talk Sauga 960 AM. I am your guest host, Jose Tabuada. You can find me on social media at Tabuada93, joined by our AEW expert, Colin Dodge. You can find him on social media at Risen72. And of course, follow the show at Ringside_Heat and subscribe to us on Patreon. Well, Colin, as they famously say, then there were 2. Yep. We started off this whole thing together per live stream 5 hours ago, and we're going to end this together, which is absolutely hilarious, which is very fitting, Colin, I think.
I think so. We're the correct 2. We're where we need to be.
Yeah, you don't have to say that again. It's been a very, very fun night. It's been a phenomenal night so far. We had Lex and Chico join us for at least a good portion, at least the last quarter of the pay-per-view of Wrestledream. Again, we are in the middle of our live stream. If you're listening to us on Spotify or on YouTube, we are in the middle of our live stream. It's been a very, very fun stream. And I think before we continue on with the final segment, doing episodes after a pay-per-view, I am a fan.
Yeah, I think it's great, because we try to do the review anyway, especially for our Sunday broadcast on Sauga 960. So why not just roll right into whoever part of the ring crew just watched it? They should
get it fresh in their minds, and instead of having to wait the next day. Also, as well, I think given that these happen on Saturdays, it benefits us a lot, because then we can get their content to Ringside Heat.
We're timely, finally. Yeah.
So, and again, folks, if you do want to listen to any of our bonus content, if you want to say any other thoughts about it, Colin did run down the pay-per-view before we started recording. So if you go before 4 hours and 23 minutes and 35 seconds, that's when we officially started the recording of episode 156. About 5 minutes before that, that's when Colin was reviewing the whole show. So look at that, folks. I can give you timestamps. This is amazing. This is efficiency.
Right. It's a new era.
The AEW International Championship. It was the match that I was waiting for. Will Ospreay, Ricochet.
This is big. Will Ospreay is how I converted you. And
Yes,
so I knew this match was going to be good, and I'm glad it was as strong as it was. And you know what? MVP Takeshita.
Yeah, Konosuke Takeshita, by the way, as the third man in the match, who is your new AEW International Champion, won the title after Kyle Fletcher turned on Will Ospreay and Don Callis got involved. And by the way, I'm sick and tired of Don Callis as well, but you know, he is that.
And you don't even watch week to week. That's amazing. That's how good he is.
Yeah, exactly. I can be bitter and pesky at him.
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking about during that match, during the live stream, the concern about false finishes and the worry about if they're worth it, if it diminishes, if it makes a match, if he devalues a match. Not this one. I think they all worked perfectly.
It worked in this one.
I think they all worked phenomenally. I don't even know how else to emphasize it. It was just such a fun match, and and while I had my whole T-shirt concern after I bought a T-shirt at the start of the match and watching him lose it, I'm like, did I curse him? It to me, it's the match of the night, which is why I wanted to emphasize this instead of running down the entire card on episode 156, because this worked. This I think this match was just so much fun. I've noticed that when I've been watching these AEW live streams, Will Ospreay will steal the show.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, Bryan Danielson's match at All-In was very special with Swerve, and I was maybe you can call it the match of the night, but come on, Ospreay was right before it.
Yeah, I mean,
moments before it.
Yeah, and like it didn't have the story heaviness that, of course, Bryan and Mox had. But I know you don't watch regularly yet, but the overarching story that's been happening with Ospreay is that, you know, he's now stopped his worldwide independent dates and contracts and all that kind of stuff. AEW is his home, and you know he's moved here, that kind of thing. Or no, I think he's still in England, but like it's an easier schedule, you know, with his family and all that kind of thing.
Oh, easily.
But also, like, he's also hitting the pedal running. But there's an ongoing thing of where can he handle this pressure now? He hasn't had the pressure of being on regular TV, and he's already got a championship. And he was going after the tag titles with Kyle Fletcher not too long ago, a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
But he was kind of part of the Don Callis family, but kind of not, because he's, you know, longtime friendship with Kyle Fletcher from Australia, and then time in New Japan and all that kind of thing. That he was part of a faction. I fortunately forget the name of the third member, who I think is retired now. But anyway, so there's all that, and it's like, are you in the Callis family or you're not? Well, Ospreay doesn't cheat. He doesn't want to win by using a screwdriver or using a belt or all that kind of thing. But and then Kyle Fletcher's kind of been caught in between Ospreay and Takeshita and Don Callis, where Takeshita's had enough of Ospreay, he just wants to beat him up. And so then you have Takeshita worming his way into this match. It was only recently it became a triple threat, right? Mm-hmm. And for the longest time, it was billed as just finally Ospreay and Ricochet are going to have their match. And so then you have this turn. So there was a build-up for something where either Ospreay cracks under the pressure and accepts help from Don Callis, thus turning heel, or maybe the unthinkable for people is good buddy Kyle Fletcher finally turned on him and that kind of stuff. And not only that, he lost his championship. And Takeshita steals it, gets the win. The third one that probably nobody picked to win has won, you know.
I mean, I did pick him to win, but yeah. I also have my weird reasoning because I do predictions, bragging rights with some friends. So, so that's why. but again, like this, the story developed in a really good way. Like it wasn't like okay, I know I've been made fun of this before on Ringside Heat. I know I have. Like, to me, it wasn't a clean win. If that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Because they had some outside interference and help, but I know that I've
shenanigans. Yeah.
Yes, I know that I've already. I forgot which episode. This was in our early Ringside Heat days when I said it wasn't a clean win because of shenanigans, and you guys, no, it was a clean win. 1, 2, 3. I'm like, no,
we jumped on you a little bit.
Like, that's not what I mean by clean win. Like, I know that was clean, but there was like shenanigans. It was hilarious. So that's where I'm going with again. That at least Ospreay didn't like lose like clean, right? Because he had help, right?
I think this situation, it'd be more upsetting if it was just a clean win. He was just out and out beaten.
I agree.
And not taking away from how good Takeshita is, or if it was Ricochet, like, them beating Ospreay is possible. It's not like, it's insurmountable. Like, these guys would never be. He wasn't in there with jobbers, to use a derogatory term, maybe. So yeah, I think it's better that it was like, well, if he's going to lose, it's because all this insanity and his best friend turned on him and stuff. So, and because it's a triple threat, all this stuff is allowed. Not just the very liquid AEW rules sometimes. So
regardless, I'm happy with my shirt. That is my Assassin's Creed Will Ospreay collaboration.
Coming soon to a YouTube short. The roller coaster purchase.
God, that's so funny. That's one of the funniest moments. Again, it's really weird to hear such a genuine laugh from Colin. But I got it. But because it sounded, I think that's what got me laughing even more, because I'm like, I never heard that laugh from Colin.
Yeah, you got me.
And again, as we are doing this on our live stream, the last comment that we'll post for the night is Jose likes Will because of Assassin's Creed. Exactly why.
Yeah,
Blaze.
That's that. I don't care how I got him in. That's how he got in.
Exactly why. Colin, we are running out of time. So out of 5 stars, and I think another successful night of AEW pay-per-view. What do you got out of 5?
Honestly,
for the whole show.
This one is a 5. There is nothing that bothered me. And I only say that because I didn't watch the pre-show where the unpleasantness happened. So because I didn't watch the pre-show, this thing's skating with a 5. I had no issues with any of the matches. I like them all. And probably I'm saying that too, even with the first match, because Jay White actually got the win. They didn't just give it to him.
That did surprise me for sure.
So again, it was a solid match. I am just at best indifferent towards both characters, but I know they do well like they're both great, fantastic wrestlers. So that I've never taken away from that. So
I'm gonna say 4.7, 4.8. It's hard to me to give a perfect 5. Mm-hmm. It's hard, but I know that this was my more enjoyable pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Because even despite the weird graphic image of the plastic bag, that shock ending is just so good.
Yeah.
I love those.
And I say shots. 5 after a long string of solid pay-per-views. I didn't once go, well, what the hell? Like, what? Like, I wasn't upset or regretted spending money or anything like that.
No, absolutely. Like, it was I'm very, very happy with it. And again, it says a lot coming out of me. So I'm gonna say 4.8. Because I don't know if I want to give it a complete 5.
You haven't seen enough yet. You can't give 5s yet. Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. But
I've been watching for 5 years, sir. Yeah.
But that will do it for us here, folks. We are again out of time. So first things first, folks. Again, as we are recording this on the live stream, thank you so much for tuning in. It has been a long night for us. If we seem a little tired, if we seem a little droopy, yes, it's been a very, very long night. I think we've earned our rest. So because it's been a very fun 5 hours. Thank you to Lex, Chico, and John. Thank you to the crew essentially for tuning in when we can. Keeping us some laughs. A little bit of a fun distraction here and there before we have to continue and keep the show rolling there and what was in front of us. Thank you to them for tuning in, and again, Colin, thank you to you for another fun live stream together. You and I we realized that this was our first AEW live stream together, which is weird because we've done all the AEW preview and recap episodes, so it kind of threw us off for really the first live stream, but the kind of hilarious.
We're a good duo, sir.
And of course, a big thank you to Lexi again we planned that I take over because I know he said he was going to be very busy this weekend, but he ended up finding free time. But he said, hey, Jose, hang on and let's stick with the original plan. So I do appreciate that from the homie, because it's always fun to host this show, as I will have I think I have apparently more opportunities to host coming up later on. I don't know,
I think so,
but it's been a blast. So follow us on our social medias at Ringside_Heat and subscribe to us on Patreon, please, folks. We can love and appreciate all the support there, and to run more giveaways as possible. This is Mr. Colin Dodge. You can find him on social media at Risen72, and you can find me on social media at Tabuada93. I am Jose Tabuada. Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 156. We will see you all next week for episode 157. Good night, everybody.
Thank you, Brian.